Hello everyone. Recently, at least in terms of MGTOW and the Manosphere, there is a lot of content that has been released that I would call, or at the very least be tempted to describe it as, slop. And this is not an unwarranted or uncharitable description, given that such content affects everyone on YouTube, and is what I have seen was happening, regardless of if they're in our spaces or not. So with this video, I want to talk about it and share my opinions on it, this phenomenon, and what I plan to do about it. So with that being said, let's begin. So, to explain the issue, content gradually evolving into slop is something that has been happening gradually since 2022 and since the adoption of artificial intelligence in all facets and walks of life, and its improvement in terms of its capability and effectiveness of large language models, but it really accelerated once those features came to YouTube and Twitter, and also when attention spans were shortened with shorts and other short-form content. This has happened everywhere on YouTube, but I think this has happened in particular in the online spaces known as the Manosphere and our own MGTOW community. Now, the way I think this process played out was that in addition to some older channels being removed for TOS or Terms of Service violations and guidelines violations, as YouTube deems them, the advances in AI as well as a general lack of motivation caused for less and less original content to be made and for more slop content to be made instead. Now, by slop content, what I mean is simply reposting clips of women's behavior from TikTok and other platforms, having podcasts that talk about the same few things whose point is to dunk on others, the Whatever podcast in particular, and also having AI-made content or short clips, wall-to-wall coverage of memes of the week, and constant over-focusing on women instead of original, long-form and authentic content. And if you have been around here for a significant amount of time, you will see the same things I'm noticing on and commenting on in this video. Because the change was gradual, it wasn't noticed. However, when you compare the content made by those in the MGTOW space, and in particular the wider Manosphere, between the years of 2019 and even earlier, and 2026, the difference is big and obvious to the naked eye. So you might be wondering, well, why is that bad, or why does it need to be discussed? I will explain. We MGTOWs, at least those of us who make content online, pride ourselves on that content, as it is that content that convinces anyone watching of the benefits of the MGTOW philosophy and the validity of our points. And moreover, in the past, when you look at the MGTOW content that exists, from channels that weren't terminated, it is obvious that we can do better, and that we have done better. Take Sandman for example, and set the video filter to start from oldest to newest, and you can see the remarkable oldest first, and you can see the remarkable treasure and quality of content we used to have. Take Barbarossa 2 and Thinking Ape, as well as Liberation Y, and you will see what we were capable of, and how good content used to be on average. This is not something that is impossible to do today, or something we are incapable of. We are very much capable of it still to this day, but it is about will, whether or not we want to, and I'm going to say, we should strive towards our content being more than just slop, as we, the content creators, should strive to represent MGTOW in the best possible light. This is done well when the content is high quality. Slop is bad because it does nothing to expand and enlighten those who watch it, or innovate upon what was said before. It is reductive, and at best only mentions the same few points ad nauseum. AI slop in particular can't innovate because LLMs always have to take from outside data instead of building something new. Given the situation and what I described, and also the understanding that just complaining will get us nowhere, I think now is the time to introduce my plan on how to fix it, and my mission statement on slop content as a whole. My mission statement is that I'm opposed to slop, believe that content creators in MGTOW and the Manosphere adjacent circles can do better, have done better in the past, and should strive to do better in the future, and that as a result, I will do my best to do my part in helping combat Slop and bring back real and authentic content in these spaces. Starting in late 2025 and early 2026, I worked to improve the content on my own channel and make it more refined and something that I can be proud of and is still relevant in the future as it was when it was uploaded, and in addition also added images and proper transitions between the images in the videos. I also managed to make my points clearer and more concise, but above all, and I think is the most important thing, I managed to keep my videos original, as in have an original subject, and innovate and bring something new instead of it being stale and bland slop like others, and I want to encourage those same improvements everywhere. I also support in this plan to do what Active Aussie MGTOW also suggested in his video, which is help get back to basics and discuss how MGTOW works in order to create real MGTOW content that has actual substance, instead of just low-effort slop that discusses the same things over and over again. Moreover, I also consider with the improvements to my content, part of the idea of keeping it original and unique is to also cover subjects other than just MGTOW, which is why my channel name also includes the video games part in Igor MGTOW and video games, and it's also why I'm branching out into tech-related topics and content, aside from just the MGTOW, to keep things interesting and unique. However, even within MGTOW, there are improvements that can be made, and that I have done, which I want to encourage others to make, so that these improvements happen across the board. I believe that this plan, these improvements in terms of content creation, can be summed up into 5 bullet points, which are the following. 1. Keep it real. 2. Keep it original. 3. Innovate wherever possible. 4. Keep it interesting. And 5. Keep it high quality. I believe with these 5 simple points, we can make our content better and as good as it was when Barbar, Thinking Ape and Liberation Y were still making content regularly, though Thinking Ape still makes content. I believe we can still do this, and that we should do this. The onus on making MGTOW content better, and thus MGTOW and the Manosphere itself better, is mostly on us, the MGTOW content creators who make the content about MGTOW and its values and ideals, and I believe and think it is we who should lead the way for this. Many in the MGTOW space have already shared their viewpoints on slop and low-effort content, including Active Aussie MGTOW, whose video I agree with. So that is why I decided to share my take on this. I hope that as a result of this video, that more will be done in terms of MGTOW content to build back better and make it as good as it was back in 2018 and 2019. With that being said, this has been Igor MGTOW and Video Games. Like and subscribe and click the bell notifications on YouTube if you enjoyed the video, and follow me on odyssey.com, MGTOW.tv, Twitter, Blue Sky, and Rumble, and join my Discord server. And as Liberation Y once said, my friends, stand with me, live free. Signing off.